Here. Hello, good morning. We about to read Heal Your Way Forward. Really excited to be back. This is my second live. I have one more live today and then I'm done. So I'm really excited about that. So good morning to each and every one of you. Really great to see you again. Today we are reading Heal Your Way Forward, Chapter 1, starting at the bottom of page 21. So just want to stay on top of it because I said we would do this every morning. Good morning, friends. We're going to read Heal Your Way Forward this morning. We are going to be, if you got your hardcover book, grab your hardcover book. I'm going to be reading it and kind of giving some context to some of the things that I wrote about in the book. So if you got your, hey, Desiree, if you got your Heal Your Way Forward book, take it out. We're going to be reading it together. Um, we start at the bottom of page 21. Really grateful to be here with all of you all today as we engage in dialogue. I will share my screen and read. And what I've been doing is I've just been reading a little bit, pausing so I can tell you where I was as I was writing the book. Oh, God. Oh, no. I just dropped something really important, but everything's fine. Nothing's on fire. This is a great part. You guys get to see me raw, human, unhinged, and keeping it real. Hey, Jamal. Hey, Desiree. How y'all doing today? We're going to be reading Heal Your Way Forward. The co-conspirators. What is it called? See, this is the type of day I have. The Co-Conspirators Guide to an Anti-Racist Future. We're going to be reading that for about 15 minutes before I head off. And I got one more live with my favorite friend, Doc Urock. But if you got your book, grab it. Go to page 21. For all of you guys who are watching this live and replay, I want to empower you and encourage you to do me a favor. Go pre-order the paperback version. In the paperback version, that's the version that you want to write up, mark up, give to your friends, give to the coworker that thinks that they're your supervisor, give to your supervisor that thinks that they woke and they're not really woke, but we know we reclaim and woke. Everything that they try to take from us, we're reclaiming. So we're going to read this out loud today, but do me a favor, pre-order, if you can, your paperback copy and hand it out. If you got your own community and you want to pre-order a set for your community, holla at your girl, slide the DMs, and let's get this started. So let's go ahead and start reading. You're so welcome. Thank you for tuning in and reading with us. Hey, Bobby, we're reading Heal Your Way Forward. We're starting at the bottom of page 21. Let everyone in the Check Your Privilege Church say amen. Um, and I did not just say that, I did. I've been giving a lot of church references this week, y'all. So there's something there that I need to talk to the ancestors about because I'm trying to figure out what y'all trying to say because there's way too many church references showing up for me this week. So let's see. Window. Here we go. So yesterday when we were reading, we talked about Brittany's journey and we talked about how Brittany got apathetic in her journey and went into ghosting. And then when you go to the top of page 21, you hear me talk about the epigenetic DNA, the epigenetic ancestral memory that is alive in all of our bodies, and how that this is really a journey to go into your purpose. I think when we're born into the world, we are born with purpose, but then our purpose, we can't learn it because we get to our purpose through creativity, play, joy, pleasure, etc. And that's stolen from us as children. And so we have all of these adverse childhood experiences, um, and then that leads to privilege, oppression, marginalization, etc. And so part of this and me reading this out loud is just to remind us that all we have is forward. You know, Dr. Bernice King said on Monday, we ain't going back. Pastor Reverend William Barber said on Monday on Dr. King Day, we not going back. And so what better way for me to remind us all that we're not going back by reading from the book of Heal Your Way Forward. We're on page 21. And just let me just start here where it says that this journey is calling into purpose to understand. Wait, actually, I think we're at the top. We are. Here it is. So after I talk about epigenetics here, we go right here to the co-conspirators journey. And we're all co-conspirators, by the way. So whether you're black, white, orange, red, purple, or green, all of us are co-conspirators because it is my belief that we all have an addiction to these systems. And that work is in the process of being trademarked. So if I see any of y'all talking about addiction, we're going to have to talk to my attorneys and yeah. So, anyway, it is my belief that we are addicted to these systems through our behaviors and our willingness to not be uncomfortable because this journey requires a discomfort. So, the co conspirator's journey requires constant evaluation and interrogation. We must look, just highlight. How about that? That'd be a little bit easier for all of us. We must look at the stories of our ancestors, evaluating where they went wrong in order to finally make it to the buck stops here. It is a journey of choice, and it requires a deep examination into the self, allowing us thoroughly to uncover the roots of who we are in hopes of showing up differently in the world. It is a journey similar to the hero's journey, wherein the ancestral hero goes on an adventure, struggles through existential crises in order to reach the goal and learn the lessons before returning home and beginning the journey again. This journey is a calling into purpose to understand who we are called to be and why we are chosen to serve. We won't know the purpose of the journey until we take the first step into the unknown. And the purpose of being co conspirators is a courageous journey of serving others, not just for the world we live in today, though today's world needs a whole lot of healing, but for our children, our children's children, and our children's children's children. Purpose drives passion, and passion is what creates systemic change. If you watch today's live that I did with Michelle Walter, I'm going to pause here for a second. We talked a lot about faith, the difference between faith and hope. And if you want to get to a purpose, Lord, all these biblical references, not trying to talk about Rick Warren's book, The Purpose Driven Life, but in order to get purpose, you have to have faith. And that faith requires you to make a move because faith without works is dead. Wow. And so this journey that you're taking as a co-conspirator is a journey of courage. It is a journey of healing. It is a journey of reclaiming who you are because many of us don't know who we are because that was stolen from us and it was given to us. And we were actually brainwashed into this system of oppression to be who they wanted us to be and not who we are. So it definitely is a journey of courage. And it's going to take a lot of courage and passion to move on towards what we are being called to do. All right, so let's go to the bottom of 21. As a young girl growing up in the Christian church, I was taught I had a purpose. I learned that God had a plan for my life and that the scripture was the first step to study and show ourselves approved. I can recall times seeing the women in the church, in the kitchen, cooking Sunday dinner, teaching Sunday school, and belting beautiful black hymns from the church choir. While that was joyful to see, I knew that wasn't my purpose. You see, I believe we are born into the world to serve a purpose. The purpose is created from the moment of conception, from which we are born to bear witness and cultivate a world of new possibilities. From that moment, we took our first breath, belched our first cry. Our collective ancestors cheered as new life was given. From that moment forward, we have been shaped by our parents, elders, and communities to walk into our purpose. As children, we already have an innate knowledge of who we are to become in the world. We want to be doctors, teachers, preachers, writers. We have a silent inner voice or gut instinct that directs us to the call that life purpose walks us into, which is why when I looked around at the church pulpit, I knew what I was called to do. I would listen to the pastors, predominantly men, speaking profound words, helping people navigate through life's challenges. In those moments, I knew I was being called to do the same. As a young girl, I knew that my life would be to empower people to get through life's difficulties. While the purpose felt impossible, I knew it was attainable, at least until I was told that women could not lead in the church. At that moment, my dreams of leading and teaching were crushed, and I told that my purpose, I thought, was only for men. I was taught that my purpose as a girl and eventually a woman would be to sit down and silently serve. Even as young children, our beliefs are shaped and socialized by the world around us. The adults, systems, and constructs teach us that we are not here to serve collective humanity, but rather the oppressive systems in which we are born. And no matter who you are or where you're from, as long as you are participating in modern society, those systems are founded in misogyny, racism, imperialism, and capitalist drive for wealth and power. And yet, in our own individual upbringings, we are either taught to hate or to love, to steal or to share resources, or to have power over or power with. In a world striving for power over something, we have dismissed our original journeys of life's purpose, instead, perpetuating a small microcosm of those oppressive systems. In the powerful framework, The Cycle of Socialization, Bobby Harrow writes, we are born into a specific set of social identities related to categories of difference, and these social identities predispose us to unequal roles in the dynamic of systemic oppression. Oppression is traditionally defined as the social act of placing severe restrictions on an individual group or institution. We are all oppressed, and we have been taught to uphold oppression, which minimizes our ability to pursue our own identity and purpose towards personal and interpersonal development. We are living from an oppressive framework when our decisions, choices, and life path are rooted in the ideas of the oppressor. We unconsciously cause harm in every aspect of our lives. Our interpersonal, professional, and personal relationships suffer as we continue to run on the hamster wheel of domination, of power over instead of power with. And this wheel places value on the perfectionism, performance, and keeping up with the Joneses over serving the liberation of ourself and the greater collective. It's not until we have our great wake up, our life shake up, that we begin to unlearn and relearn the work that we have always been called to do. Now, I want to pause here on this paragraph in this great section. I got to share a little bit about my childhood, about how I grew up in the church. And I used to always see the pastors hooting and hollering from the pulpit, and all the women were just serving, like cooking, cleaning, etc. And I just knew, like, I want to do what those pastors do. I just knew it. I've always done it. And it's just really a blessing to be able to utilize my voice in that way and share that experience with you all today. But what's most important and what I wanted to highlight here was the part that says that we are on the hamster wheel of domination, of power over or power with. And this wheel places value on our perfectionism and performance and keeping up with the Joneses. And we're choosing this hamster wheel, and some of us are waking up from it, instead of liberating ourselves and the collective. And it is not until our great wake up or life shake up that we begin to unlearn and relearn the work that we have been called to do. And so, in reality, here, if you look at what's happened since Monday, we had the awakening in 2020. Now, this is your great shakeup. You were awake, but you went back to sleep. We have all gone back to sleep. We were awoken in 2020 and we went back to sleep. And now we're living in a moment of a collective shakeup. And the shakeup is here intentionally. And we are literally have two choices. We can be in fear and we can, oh my God, or we can take a mindful moment, feel into what's happening in real time, because we know it's intentional. And we know it's intentional because when you look at history, his story that he told us that he's changing in real time right now, like y'all know they changing what January 6th was. They're rewriting history. When you can look at that, you can tell that we're in a shakeup and you have two choices: unlearn, relearning, and be in faith and action, or be in wallowing and be in fear. And that is what they want us to do. They want us to be in fear. And if you are in fear, two things are happening. One, your nervous system is dysregulated and you're either in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. You're either running, I'm getting out the United States, or you're in a freeze, like, oh my God, what do I do? Or you're in fear. Excuse me for a second. Here, there you go. You're in fear. And so now, in this great shakeup, as we see on page 23 and Heal Your Way Forward, we are in a shakeup. You have a choice. You can allow these moments to shake you up and ground into your body and ground into your senses, or you can allow these moments to shake you up, not feel the fear, not name it, not do something about it, and just sit and feel like you are powerless. Now is the time that we all remember that we are not powerless, that we have our shared understanding and we can share our power with each other to heal our way forward. And part of healing forward means that if you are a person in a white body and you in 2020 were like, oh my God, what's happening? And then 2025 is like, let me show you what happened. Let me show you what happens when you don't listen. Let me show you what happens when you co-opt the movement. Let me show you what happens when you think, oh, Biden is Captain Save-A-Ho, so we're safe. You had to get shaken up again. All of us did, because we thought we had it together. And I truly believe that 2025 is here to remind us in the next few years, it's time to unlearn what you thought you learned and relearned all over again. You see, what happened in 2020 is that everybody came to everybody's class and workshops. I worked every day from 2020 to 2023, every single day. My body shut down. And what happened is that everybody thought that they had the frameworks for the water cooler. Y'all could go to the water cooler and be like, I know what intersectionality is, and I can call out my company, and I can do this, and I can do that. But what happens when you call people out? People in white bodies don't like that, because people in white bodies don't have the same resiliency as people in melanated bodies. Can I just keep it 100 for y'all real quick? So those in white bodies who are not for liberation, they wanted what they knew. Those who are not willing to learn about this work fought against those of you who were in these corporations, organizations on the ground in white bodies fighting for collective, actually it was social justice. And so now here we are 5 years later, and the invitation for you is, will you unlearn? Take what you know, what you think you know about liberation, about justice, about privilege. Take what you know and act like you've never learned about it, and go deep and not wide. And see this as an individual healing journey, self-actualized and community collective, to have the faith in yourself and the collective for us to move forward. That is what we're being called to do right now. So do you have the radical faith to take these shakable times that we're living in and knowing how to step into deeper purpose and move forward and heal your way forward? That is our calling right now as a collective. We know that they are bombarding us with information, if you have a chronic illness, to get you even sicker, because they know that too much information will dysregulate your nervous system. They didn't teach us a lot about the nervous system or the mind-body connection. They taught us just enough, because if they give us too much information, we really will know how to heal the body, heal the mind, and we really will, if all of us came together and did this work from the space of mindfulness, from the space of humanity, from the space of compassion, from the space of listening to our Black and Indigenous folk who have been telling us and keep telling us, we would be in a much different place. But the problem is that there is an intellectual colonization that has taken place. And that intellectual colonization is why we are in this place again, because people in white bodies fail to listen, and you continue to fail to listen. So how will you heal your way forward? How will you stop taking this as a social justice industrial complex framework and using it to prove that you are right, instead of leaning into yourself, going inside yourself in community, allowing people to hold you, to see all the parts of yourself, to be so vulnerable that you are willing to say, I ain't got it. I don't know what I'm doing. Our addiction to perfectionism is what keeps us from really dropping into the shadows and seeing what is the deep work that we have been called to do. This time in 25, wake up, unlearn and relearn. You don't know everything, and it's okay to say that. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, and most of the times there is a higher source or divine something sitting with me, speaking to you or speaking through me. So now let's go back to finish reading. We're at the bottom of page 23. Here it is. It's about to get hot. If you're a person in a white body, stay tuned. We got about 10 minutes of reading left. My greatest shakeup occurred when I realized that most of my relationship with white women were based on those women's need to rescue me from my life's trials and tribulations. Let me be clear and say there is a big difference between trying to rescue someone and offering healthy support in a friendship. A rescuer is driven to help others as a way to help themselves. and most white bodied folks I encountered were rescuers. They couldn't sit in the pain that a Black woman with 3 children had it so hard. Rather than being in a relationship with a Black woman, then on welfare, food stamps, and Section 8, they would just give me things instead of sitting with my discomfort. They just wanted they just wanted the discomfort to go away. So rather than sit and listen, most of these white women wanted to fix me, my situation, and my children. Though helping people can be an important way to support each other, I was taken on as a project. And here's the thing: a person is not a project. See that right there? I want y'all to remember that today. When you're working on mutual aid, people are not projects. You have to be willing to go into deep relationships with people and really get to know them outside of their struggle. Because I got a lot of struggle in my life right now. Right? Audre Lorde told us best. There are no single issue struggles because we do not live single issue lives. So while it may look like I'm recovered from COVID or long COVID, y'all don't know that there are nights still that my body simply breaks down, that I have post exertional malaise because I've done too much. And it could just be sitting here doing too much talking, right? But you would have to be in deep relationship with me to know that I still suffer from long COVID, even though I look like or I present as everything is okay. But if you see me as a project, you just think I'm a person who has long COVID and you're just sending me money because it's like, oh, that's Myisha T. Hill, and I want to make sure she can buy groceries for her family. I need you all to go deeper in 2025. I need you to not just say, oh, here's this. I need you to come back, circle back, as y'all love to say in your emails. Let me circle back. Hey, I just want to check in on you. You doing okay? You need anything? You want to, you got time to get online and read a book with me, or like go deeper. I'm not telling y'all to do that with every Black woman and indigenous person you see on these internet streets. I'm giving consent to what deep relationship means to me, not what you should be doing with other people. Okay. I'm going to go to the bottom of page 24 and then I'm going to stop because I got another live in about 30 minutes. So I realized that white women were attracted to my matriarchal. I realized that white women, we're right here, were attracted to my matriarchal nature of listening, nurturing, and supporting. But in return, they didn't provide the same report. They didn't know how to share friendship based in security, boundaries, and love. They didn't want to share power. They wanted to use their resources to have power over me, my life, and my choices. I realized the larger dynamic occurring between me and the white woman in my life was rooted in relationships developed 3 or 4 generations before and beyond during the time of enslavement. Considering the time when Black women nursed the babies of white slave masters' wives so the wives could have the social status, I have felt like a wet nurse to white women who demanded my energy. And many white women raised within patriarchal households cannot see how their relationship with oppression impacts their relationship with women of color. I want to say this again. Many white women raised within patriarchal households cannot see how their relationship with oppression impacts their relationship with women of color. I remember the very first Saturday school that I taught, the very first course that I launched or program for Check Your Privilege was called Saturday. And I did this because I had young children at the house and it was a Saturday morning. And I said, you know what? We're going to have Saturday school, and whoever shows up just shows up. And I remember at this specific Saturday school, it was rooted on talking about oppression for 8 weeks. And every woman who was in that group said, who was in a white body, said to me, I'm not oppressed. I can't experience oppression. Oppression is only for Black and Indigenous people. And I looked at them and I'm like, excuse me? So I literally had to go through, we'd spent 8 weeks looking at birdcage oppression and labeling the ways that they were oppressed in their life for them to connect with, oh, I am oppressed. As a person in a white body, whether male or female, and if you're a male, you might not have so many connections with oppression, but until you look at how oppressed you truly are and really claim it, you will continue to play out that relationship of oppression with women of color, specifically Black and Indigenous women. Because as I've been saying since 2020, the way that white men treat white women is the way that white women treat Black and Indigenous in all bodies of culture. You will wield and weaponize that on us the moment that we do not hold you in the times that you deem are needed and necessary for your crises. And so you're probably hearing that and saying, well, how do you and other women work with white women? What are you doing? And I can't speak for other Black women. I can just speak for myself. If you watch my live today with Michelle, it's also on YouTube if you don't have time right now. If you watch that, you will actually see that it's called faith. It's not hope because I don't have expectations. Hope is connected to expectations. I have zero expectations, but I actually do have faith in white body folks. I really do that because I've lived it. I've seen women in this community and men and non-binary folk and gender expansive peoples. I have seen what 4 years of relationship and teaching can do when you just stay consistent. I've seen people ghost, and I've been doing this work on the front line for 7 years now in public. But I've seen at least in the five years, I can name about 10 people who've been here since 2020, maybe more, y'all, that in deep relationship in teaching, they go to therapy because I tell a lot of people, if you kicking it with me in our community, you're gonna have to go to therapy because you will not be turning around and sue me and telling me that I traumatized you because you ain't done your work. Seeing them go to therapy, seeing them come to all of our collective community events, coming to courses, programs, seeing them sit in conversation with Desiree B. Stevens and Bobby and Jamal and so many other great human beings I have seen firsthand. I am a testimony to what can be happen when you are held with compassion and humility and not power over. I don't want power over nobody. That's not my ministry. Power has never been my ministry. And I think that's why I always say that this work thrives in relationships. And it takes a lot of work because we were not socialized to what a relationship is. We don't know our attachment styles. We don't know our conflict styles. So we run and jump in the bed with folk, and then we turn around and we in some shit that we don't even want to be in, but we stay in it because we were told to just stick it through. We got a lot of work and healing to do. And that's what we practice in our community. And I can only invite you to come to our community if you want to come. There's that link right there if you want to learn more about our collective. And maybe you're someone who doesn't have time for the community. Don't worry. We got our academy launching next month. So maybe you just need to get the lessons because you don't have time to build community. That's fine, no problem. But it is in deep relationship with folk where people know we really trust each other to share information and hold each other. To have a community where people of all cultures and races and genders can come and say, hey, I can't pay my rent this month. Can you help me? And as a community, we are just doing it because it's natural. It's so natural in our community for somebody to say, even me, hey, can somebody send me an Instacart gift card? I actually just did that last week. I had to go into the community and say, hey, can you all send me an Instacart gift card? I don't have any groceries. I think people conflate, and I want to pause for a second because y'all conflate all these followers on these accounts with money and wealth and status. And I'm here to tell you, I actually don't live that type of lifestyle where I'm thinking about money, wealth, and status. Seriously, I don't. I just get up every day and I'm like, well, let's see how it's going to work out today. You can ask everybody on Team CYP. They're like, what are we doing tomorrow? Am I sure? I don't know. Let me just pause and meditate. It comes, it downloads, it comes out. Here we go. That's what we're doing. And that's how you get outside the hierarchy because I'm able to go into my imagination and my creativity and my joy and my trusting the unknown. I do a lot of work with Gene Keys. Thank you to my sister, Docu Rock. I do a lot of work around Gene Keys in astrology and esoterics. And one thing I could tell you for sure that's different than all the religious stuff that I grew up with and when I worked in the church is that when you just have belief and faith and you take action, things really do work out for you. Things really do work out for you. You have to believe that things really do work out. So when I get on this Instagram account and I'm sitting here saying we gonna be all right, it might get worse before it gets better. But I tell you something, after how many years of enslavement, my ancestors kept saying it's gonna be all right. It's gonna get better. We're gonna have this. It's gonna be all right. When they sang and danced and cried out. When I can tell you that my great 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 grandmother when I could tell you that they knew that things were going to be all right, and it got all right till they built the first church in their family in South Florida. The children of enslaved folk built their own community, built their own church, became teachers, became educators. I got one on my mama's side, one of the aunts became one of the first superintendents of a school district in the Midwest, Black woman. My legacy, my ancestry, my elders remind me that we're going to be okay because we've been here before and we don't have to go back. And all we have is forward. So I want to thank you all for reading Heal Your Way Forward with me. I think we went from page 21 to 24. You are welcome to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and come back again tomorrow or maybe even Monday, and we're going to go from page 24 onwards. We're going to read a little bit of Heal Your Way Forward every day. I'm going to talk to you all every day. If you're looking for community, again, there's the link. Go ahead and screenshot this, grab it. And I want to share something that also came up for me. So when TikTok went down, and I knew that it was divine timing. When TikTok went down, everybody was like, my TikTok doesn't work. My TikTok doesn't work. My TikTok doesn't work. And the last video on my TikTok was a Star Wars reference. And if you know me, you know I love Star Wars. You know I love anything like the Hunger Games, anything that's like rebellion and people coming to, hey, wait a second, people coming together. But my last screen on TikTok when the TikTok went down was a Star Wars reference, and then it froze, and I screenshotted it so I would have the collective remembrance on what happened the day that they took TikTok away. And what came up was this. Someone in our community looked up what it said. It said that rebellions are built on hope. What else can we do but keep going? We are the tiny light in the darkest corner. And so as you get through your day today, if I were to edit this in real time, which I am, I'm going to say something a little different. And I would say rebellions are built on faith because faith is the size of a mustard seed. It's very small. And it also says that faith without works is dead. So faith without action will not get us anywhere. Rebellions are built on faith. And what else can we do but keep going? Because we are the tiny light in the darkest corner. So no matter how hard it gets today, no matter how hard it gets tomorrow, no matter how hard it gets, we have to keep having faith that things will get better. We have to keep healing our way forward. We have to know when the information is overwhelming, we have to turn off the screen. We have to walk away. We have to go take care of ourselves. And then think about, okay, what communities am I in? Who needs action? What can I do locally? What's happening in my local Buy Nothing groups on Facebook? We got to start generating and creating. That's why the question I ask every day on this platform is, what are you creating? Because when you get into creation energy, it can bring back that faith and that hope. So that's all I got for you guys today. I'll be back in about 30 minutes with Dr. Yolanda Renee. We're going to be talking about emotional BDSM. And until I see you guys again, friends, keep living into your work and have a great day.